Think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. This is the Motor City, and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. You know, we love to celebrate the great automotive heritage we have here in the Grosse Pointes, but we're not going to make any apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective. Today, we've got a show you're going to want to tune into, because today we're going to talk about the buzzword that's going all around town, especially if you live out in Ann Arbor, about driverless cars, autonomous cars. But we're going to raise a question that hasn't been asked before. If we have driverless cars, and they are our future, what's going to happen to police departments who really count on traffic ticket revenue and the court money to keep them going? When driverless cars don't make any mistakes, there are no accidents, there are no tickets, what's going to happen? How are we going to have police departments? To help us sort out this crazy topic that nobody out there has talked about, we brought in Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com. Chris.
Hi, John. How are you?
Thank God you're a man in blue today, because we're going to talk about what...
I just need my little shield here.
There you go. Yeah, we're going to talk about this because people just think that things happen and there'll be no consequences down the road. What's that old saying? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right. So driverless cars...
Otherwise known as stuff happens.
That's right. But driverless cars have a lot of things down the road that we're not even thinking about at this point. But that's why you're here on Cars in Context, and that's why you write on thevirtualdriver.com to bring these things to light. But before we do that...
Is that why I do the virtual driver?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, it keeps you out of the bars. Anyway, but before we do that, we have to find out what's happening in the news. Right. Now, I'm going to take this first one because we're talking about autonomous cars. We're going to call it Autonomous Ann Arbor. That town has gone...
It's driving itself?
It's almost driving itself. That whole town has gone completely crazy over these autonomous car thing. You know,
Great place for it. Incubator with a school and all that. That makes sense.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It could be the first city in the world, not in Michigan, in the world, to be the home of a fleet of autonomous cars driving around town every day. And that's the goal of Mobility Transportation Center, which just opened up out there, a group run by a U of M. Yep.
My alma mater.
With participation, of course, by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Oh, of course.
So the feds are involved. and so are some automakers and some suppliers. So it's not all a government, conglomerate.
Non-denominational.
But they predict that by 2020, which is pretty good to see by then, Ann Arborites will be using smartphones to call self-driving cars to come get them for their morning and evening commutes. So you use your smartphone, come get me, and a car comes up, you hop in it, and then you check your email, and that's what they're saying. Now listen, don't make fun. Right now the Mobility Transformation Center is testing a fleet of 3,000 of these cars. Yes, to develop the technology needed to network them all together. And then, as an aside, Larry Burns, who's the former head of R&D of GM, is deeply involved in this. So, folks, we talk about driverless cars. It's a pie in the sky stuff. Ann Arbor, you people out there, you're living the dream.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because then those guys who are after the hash bash will be able to get home safely.
Yeah, because they won't know which direction to go, and they can...
Where's the nearest brownies, man?
But when they drop their cell phone in the men's room, and then they can't call their car, how are they going to get home?
Or what about me? I don't have a cell phone.
There you go. I love that you're off the
NSA doesn't know where I am.
Why don't you give us some different news from a different part of the country?
VW on the march.
Oh, VW.
Yes.
Okay.
They've been on a mission to become the largest car company in the world.
Yeah,
and at least in one way, they already are.
No, it's Toyota and General Motors.
No.
Okay, all right.
They plan to boost their global workforce to 600,000 people by 2018, which is 9% increase over the current employment levels. And today, they employ 550,000 workers worldwide, which is more than GM and Toyota put together.
Chris, that's a ton of people.
So everybody else is cutting labor costs.
Yeah.
VW keeps hiring, and VW is profitable.
Chris, wait a minute. Repeat that again. They have more employees, and everybody else is trying to cut employees to stay profitable, yet they're profitable.
Mm-hmm. No, they did it?
Yes, I do. It's magic.
This new MQB structure of theirs, which we're going to talk about in a future program,
Okay.
that because of the way they're doing it and they're standardizing all these pieces, they're going to cut 19 billion euro out of their costs.
So they can.
And by being able to increase their workforce, you're not going to have the problem that GM had when people were working so hard to cut costs and they were working overnight and they ended up doing that ignition switch.
Right. Yeah. You need to.
You're not going to have those problems.
You need to have people working in there, not cut to the bone.
They
so
have
much.
it's a different business
That
model.
is an
We'll see who's
amazing.
successful.
See, that's why you are on the show. That's
I
amazing.
thought it was because we've known each other for years. but
Okay, that too.
yeah.
But that had something to do with it. But no, but that's fantastic. That's amazing. That's insight. That's context.
That's entertainment.
Okay, but something that we had that in 1978 was the pay scale of the Chinese. I want to bring this up because when you talk about workers, people say, well, why did they outsource this? I mean, why is it going to? Because labor is so much cheaper in China. When you go to the dollar store and the toothpaste that you're buying there is only 99 cents instead of $3.98. It's because, do you like radioactive teeth?
No,
Lead
but
on?
I like mine with antifreeze in it.
Okay, that'll put you to sleep. But anyway,
Permanently.
if I were to tell you that wages in the Chinese manufacturing industry had doubled from 2002 to 2008, I'm talking about they doubled their wage in just that short amount of time, you might think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But wages in the U.S. during that same time, it only increased 20% in that same time. So they doubled, we only went up 20%.
Okay.
Even so, the average Chinese auto worker today, are you ready? Makes $2.18 an hour.
Oh, you're kidding.
That means it takes them all day to make what the average worker in the U.S. or Europe makes in an hour. So we had $2.18 back in the 70s. So that's why we offshore this stuff and why you get what you pay for. You really get what you pay for, especially drywall.
And you notice we're still not driving Chinese cars.
No, and we don't. I don't use their drywall either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so give me something a little happier.
Okay, inline engines are making a comeback.
No, they're dead. Everybody's going with that little 4-cylinder in-bangers, but the V6s, they're here to stay.
Bull. In a move to reduce emissions and cut production costs,
It's
Mercedes
V6.
is moving away from V6s and going back to an inline 6-cylinder engine.
Why?
First time since the mid-90s, the company's developed new inline 6 and expect to be under the hood of the next E-Class in 2016. It's part of a new modular powertrain structure that includes 3 and 4 cylinders that are
Chris,
also inlines.
car guys will tell you that inlines, because they're inline,
They're inherently balanced.
And
They're
balanced.
smoother. You get better torque. You
but-
get better.
but they're longer,
But yeah.
and the V, you compact the engine compartment. You don't have to have the nose. That's why we couldn't put inlines and everything because of the short, stubby front ends. On
Yes, but the things we learned on making V6s, we can now apply to inline 6 cylinders. We can close those cylinders up and make them almost the size of 4-cylinder.
Make me crazy with these things. So okay, here's a car. I'm going to show you something where an inline 6 would never work. I'm going to talk to you about the cheapest car in the world.
Okay.
The cheapest car in the world is something called the Tata Nano.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. And but guess what, folks? Now there's a picture of a Tata.
No, that's not the Tata.
No, that's the Chinese
one.
Oh, yeah. This is now the competitor for the Nano. This right now.
See, because it's got all that graffiti on the front. You know,
That's
it's
not.
Indian.
That says
It says something in China.
Xinjiang TT. Now this
Really?
is they said it's a copy of the old Suzuki Alto car.
I think actually it says General Tso's chicken is only
No,
$4.95.
no, it doesn't say that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it says takeout only. This thing has been in production since the Suzuki Alto. Remember that?
Oh yeah, Suzuki
That's from the
Alto, yeah.
90s. Remember that? This car it sells for only $2,865. $2,865. Now that's more than the Nano's base price of $2,500, which is the cheapest car. But this Xinjiang TT comes standard features not found on the Nano, like a passenger side mirror. You get a mirror.
Yeah, it's always a good thing.
And guess what? They also include for that price, $2,865. You get a radio plus you get two windshield wipers.
The luxury of it all.
That's right.
Now
That's
wait a
right.
minute. What did the Mustang originally cost?
It's $2,345,
$2,268,
$2,500.
Yeah.
$2,468. Yeah, $1,2,500. And this car is now $2,865. So, folks, do we want these little? This is a true econo box, don't you think? So, Chris? Why are these cars so much cheaper than anything we can buy here? Because You know, like
Really?
the
I
Zoya,
have to answer that?
the Zoya Z100. This guy, it looks a little like the Chevy Spark, but that thing runs like $3,800. So how come they can build? And it's not just $218 an hour. They're stripped down nothing. But is it? They don't have to have all these standards.
They
we
don't have all the safety equipment that we have.
So
They don't have the emissions equipment we have.
They don't have safety standards, emissions equipment, all that. It's at all cost.
Yeah.
So we could have a car under $3,000 if we just put all that stuff on it.
You wouldn't want to drive it.
Okay. 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 Well, just to show you, when you feel bad the next time you go shopping for a new car and they says, "Well, that's only $40,000." You go, "$40,000? I can buy that for $2,800."
Yeah.
Yeah. Just you got to go to China for it. But anyway, this is one of my favorite times of the show. This is the time where we're going to really test your knowledge. This is our weekly trivia. It's car trivia time right now, folks. And this is the time when we put a question out there. We ask you to put your thinking caps on. Don't call Siri. Don't Google it. Just think about it for a while. And when we come back from the break, we're going to give them the answer. So this one's a tough one.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
What car had the distinction of being General Motors' 100 millionth car built in the United States? What car happened to be going down the line at that time when they said, "There it is, the 100 millionth GM vehicle, pull it off and let's celebrate," and have the balloons go off and all that stuff? What car? And try to give me the car and see if you can give me the year. We'll give you the answer to this question, and then we'll put Chris in the driver's seat and talk to him a little bit, just a little bit about driverless cars right after this. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today we're talking to Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com, best automotive blog on all the internet.
Thank you, and the check's in the mail.
Okay, well, actually, we'll exchange checks for coming on the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
So
Chris, before I put you on the
They
driver's
both have 0 on them,
That's
right? Okay,
they're
good. Yeah,
pretty
okay.
they're pretty light. Yeah. Before I put you in the driver's seat, we talk about this ticket revenue dilemma that's going to happen with driverless cars.
I think this is wonderful.
It's a great topic, but before that, we got to give our viewers the answer to
Yeah, because this
trivia
is not
question.
the answer you think.
Now, folks, it's going to throw you off. I basically asked you what
John
car.
whispered it to me earlier. I thought he was getting fresh, but he was actually
No, I
giving
was
me
just
the
telling
answer.
them the answer because I don't want them to say what.
Yeah.
What car had the distinction of being GM's 100 millionth car built in the U.S.? Now, if you could give me the car and the year, that's what I'm looking for. What car do you think was the 100 millionth GM car?
And I was thinking it was pre-war, maybe immediate post-war.
Yeah, I was thinking just.
And when you
at least
told
before
me,
the 50s.
I just
The
freaked.
answer is, here we go, drum roll. It is a 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado.
That's wild.
That's right. That Oldsmobile Toronado rolled off the assembly line up in Lansing, Michigan on March 16th, 1966, and rolled into automotive history as being the 100 millionth car built in the United States.
You know, you're gonna get letters on this one.
I hope so,
'Cause
because
that's not a
Lauren's going to
60
bring them up.
That's not a '66 Toronado in the.
That's a
That's a Eldorado. You got the other auto in there.
God. Okay.
You know, John, you can tell you've
It's
been working too hard.
Car trivia time. Here, that was next week's.
This car trivia was brought to you by the Helen Keller School of the Blind.
That was next week's trivia answer. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. but anyway, so that just shows you how tricky this really is.
But you know, throw them off. Put the '66 Tornado on that one. We'll be all set.
You're a genius. So listen, now let's put you in the driver's seat.
Okay.
Now, folks, we've talked about autonomous cars, driverless cars. Oh, it sounds like a great idea. Unless you love to drive, then it sounds terrible.
There are times it could be good, but yeah.
You know, okay, but I'll give you that. But so let's say Ann Arbor becomes the rest of the world, and we're stuck driving these cars that drive themselves. You get in, and they go everywhere. They do everything right. They stop in time. They turn. They don't speed. They do everything. They're perfect. They're a machine. They're like a computer. You can't screw them up. They're wonderful, right? Well, what happens to all of the police departments that have all over the United States who make giant revenues on speed traps, radar tickets, left turn only, wrong turns, you know, red light running, all the thousands and thousands of dollars generated by traffic violations in red light cameras, speed photo radar cameras, the airborne flying radar people, thousands of people and dollars and millions of dollars is generated on traffic fines. So where are they going to get their money? Does that mean police, traffic enforcement as we know it, goes out of business, and so does the police department because we know it funds police departments?
Oh, get real. Let's take this down to brass tacks.
Okay.
Back to first.
By the way, brass tacks, my grandfather used to use that.
Back to first principles.
Good. Okay.
If one of the biggest problems with that whole model that we have right now is that the police are collecting money for traffic and other infringements, and it gives them an incentive to corrupt the system. You never want the collection of revenue to be in the hands of the people who are making the laws or enforcing them, because it just encourages them to be corrupt, to find ways to increase their revenue. So what you really have to do is you have to separate it and say, you know, like one of the guys running for state rep in my area, Richard Lerner, they asked him about the gas tax and increasing it, and he said, no, don't increase it at all. Take all the money that we're collecting on the gas tax now and put it towards the roads and the things that it was designed for in the first place. Let's not put it in the general fund. If those other things need to be paid for, then we find a way to pay for them.
Correct.
And that's the way we have to do this.
That's genius. That's perfect.
The whole part about it is, though, that for too long, this is the way that we've been funding our system. And if you'll notice, in the state of Michigan and most other states, we aren't unique in this. If you drive in the first half of the month on a freeway, hey, everything's fine. You can just about go as fast as you want to. The later you get in the month, then you start to see the state police out, the local police, and all of that, because it's time for them to get their budgets in order and raise as much money. And they determine how much they need, and they go out there and say, you have to write so many tickets, and they deny that if you ask them that they have a quota for writing tickets, but they do.
Oh, wait, you're just a speeding lawbreaker,
scofflaw, yeah,
a scofflaw, and you don't understand how it works. We would never write
If you really wanted to do something that was really unique, let's sell ticket books to people so that when they get pulled over for speeding, they hand them over, and it gives them a pass on it, so that you can say, I'm going to buy a ticket that allows me to do 80 miles an hour and not have any problems with it. So you get pulled over, you hand them a ticket, you've already paid for that, you know, and it's like, you know, it costs you $20 a time, and that way traffic flow goes better and all the rest. What they should be out there doing is they should be out there getting the guys who are sitting in the left lane doing the speed limit or less and clogging the whole place up and move them over to the right.
That's the guy that gets the ticket.
New Jersey a few years back did the smartest thing they could have done. They didn't enforce the speed law at all. They instead went out and enforced that the left lane is for the faster traffic and the middle lane is for the faster traffic than the right lane, and so they wanted to move you over, and they found out that the traffic flow on the freeways was enormously better. There was no backups, none of these problems. But they saw the revenues go down, so they went back to the old way of doing it, so traffic got all backed up, but they were making money again.
Okay, folks, here's the issue, and what Chris brought up here is so critical to our thinking about traffic. Speed, and we did a whole show on should we decriminalize speeding. Speed is not the major factor in traffic accidents and fatalities.
It's like number 16 on the list.
Traffic flow, the difference between all of a sudden you're driving and then you come dead stop, that's what causes traffic accidents.
Speed doesn't kill us, it's a sudden stop that does it.
That's correct, that's exactly correct. So traffic enforcement, by putting the benefactor in charge, basically the wolf's in charge of the hen house here.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
the problem with police departments that have just become so dependent on traffic ticket money is, well then, boy, there's a gold mine out there. If this brought in all this cash, we can buy more cruisers, hire more guys, and let's go do this.
And there's another way to think of this. This is a tax increase. When they are out there writing tickets, it is actually a tax increase, but it's done surreptitiously. They don't have to raise the taxes. They don't have to do any of that. They go out and they give these people enforcement power, and they go and they get the money that they need. It is nothing less than a tax increase.
Yeah, but here is what we're going to throw a complete wrench in the works now, Chris. Here we go. you take driverless cars, and this is the reason why we want them, because no one's going to die and get hurt or anything when they say it's going to be just, it's utopia for driving, right?
Utopia never
All right,
happens.
but the problem is, okay, so then we have to come up with a new way to fund police departments. We have to actually, maybe we put them do real police work instead of, traffic
You
enforcement.
mean like solving crimes
Yeah,
and
that,
murders?
well,
and-
that's something like that. But
Great.
here's the other question. What about the entire auto insurance industry? If there are no car accidents, every bump shop, every repair shop, every car insurance company, all the billions and billions, this all goes, and it's a good thing that it all goes away. We'll never get in a car accident. Everything will be perfect. The flowers.
And you know what? You'll never have to die.
Yeah.
Bull.
All right, so
There is a heaven,
so
there is
who-
a hell, you have to die. I'm
who's-
sorry. I
Chris,
hate to be telling this to you,
Chris,
but
who is
someone's got
going
to tell you the truth.
Where are we going to? So the multi-billion-dollar national corporations are going to allow them to go out themselves to go complete. What about Flo? Flo won't be able to take a snapshot of you and charge you anything because it's perfect. Why would you need insurance?
Great, she's annoying. Get her off the TV. No, of
Flo has a fan club. People are just. Of
course she does.
Well, they think she's hot. Okay, I'm just here for the beer. Anyway, so bottom line is, Chris, what is going to happen to this? The entire industry is built around, we are self-propelled. We are in charge of our own destinies and driving ourselves, and things happen, and we've insured ourselves. We fix our cars.
It's another case where personal responsibility is going to go out the window. And it's gone out the window in so many ways. Many of the problems we have to do, the fact that people don't take responsibility for what they do.
Blame somebody else.
Blame somebody else. Oh, my little Johnny would never do that. Yeah, he did.
Hey, do you have to use Johnny?
Yeah.
Oh,
I talked to your
I hate
mother.
when they use Johnny.
I talked to your
Why
mother.
Johnny can't read? Excuse me, I can read.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good editor, too.
Well, bottom line, Chris, is how are the insurance companies going to survive?
John, I will make you this prediction right now.
Okay.
You and I will not live long enough to have to worry about this.
Thank goodness, because I am folks, I know for those of you who can't wait to get in your little autonomous car and then check your email.
Your little Google mobile.
Yeah,
Don't you love those Google mobiles?
We
They
showed
it
it.
looks like something out of Sleeper, and it doesn't have a driver in it.
We showed it
and
on
it takes
TV.
you where you want to go. You know what we call those? Taxi cabs.
Yeah, just to hear, folks, save us a lot of time, money, and effort. Just take the train, get on the bus, the rail coming down Woodward. Go do that. Don't get on the road. You people that want this car, you don't really deserve to be in your own car. You should just go on. There's trains and buses. We've done that for hundreds of years. Let us enjoy driving and moving ourselves exactly where we want to go, and not only that, how we want to go there. If we want to go 0 to 45 speed limit quicker than the next guy, that should be our given right. Don't you think? Yeah. So, Chris, you're not worried about the
Not
police
terribly worried about
departments,
it.
and you're not worried about.
Oh no, they'll
insurance-
find a way to take care of themselves.
And the insurance companies, how are they going to survive?
I really don't care.
Okay. So, folks, these are the things. This is why you watch Cars in Context. You're not thinking of this. So, if it is this panacea that the end of the world is down near, we'll have no problems, even though more people die every year of overdoses on prescription drugs than they do in car accidents, and we're not regulating that. We are so concerned about driving and
We're concerned about all the wrong things.
Yeah, we sure are. But Chris, that was such a heavy subject. I got to do something way more fun.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now it's time for something we call Pick of the Week. This is where you send me in a photo. If it's cool, it's fun, it's kind of interesting, I'll put it on the air, and then we get to talk about it.
Cool.
So this week's Pick of the Week, we talk about driverless cars. We're going to show you.
Okay.
This picture is a picture of a tow truck operator who's driving.
Oh, what was that?
This was, now according to the caption that came with this photo, this was a 50s era Cadillac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
Cadillac.
big boat.
Yeah, so this is why I guess some people would want driverless cars, because I've seen that Subaru commercial where they said, and he lived, and they walked away.
Yeah, those used to be Volvo commercials.
I know.
Amazing how
The
Subaru's
safety
taken it
sells.
over.
But that what a crazy. Now that is why there's an advertisement for driverless cars, because that car was trashed. That's when this is why you don't give your Cadillac to your 16-year-old before they've passed driver's training.
Speaking from experience,
That's
again,
right.
are we?
But you might think that that's the best part of the show, but no. We've got a better part. It's called, ready?
Yes.
Pride in My Ride.
Okay.
This is where you, the viewer, send me, John Clor, jclor@carsandcontext.com, a picture or a 2 or 3 or a video of your car, and you tell me why you have pride in your ride, and we'll put it on the air. So guess what? This week, I've got a picture of the car that this guy's lusted after his whole life, and he finally got it. Here's a picture from Everett Vaughn.
Oh, nice.
Everett lives in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, and there is his 2012 Ford Mustang Boss 302. He bought this car. He fell in love with it when it came out. He couldn't get one, and all of a sudden, a deal fell through at a dealership. It came to his lap. He loved it so much, he drove his son around in it. His little son, Michael, is there in this picture. His son went to Toys R Us and saw, hey, there's Dad's car. And he bought himself his own Boss 302. And in fact, Everett said he loves his Boss 302 as much as Dad does. And Everett said he'll send me a video of little Michael. So let's run this video of little Michael and how he feels about his little Boss 302. Well, wasn't that
That's
was
cool.
so cool. What does your little boss eat, Michael? It eats Camaros. So he's obviously a Ford guy teaching him to get mad at the Chevy guy. But you know what? As much as that was so cool and so fun, there's even a better part of the show, because now we asked Lauren Parrott, WMTV's own Lauren Parrott, to come up and see if there's been viewer mail. Lauren, tell us we have viewer mail.
Yes, of course
You did it again?
I did.
Well, thank you for finding this for us, Lauren.
You're welcome.
Now, Lauren has her own show, you know, What to Do at the War Memorial. Now it's what to give the guys on viewer mail.
You know,
Thank you, Lauren.
The thing is, I was sending an email to her, and it was hotblonde@gmail.com, and I was just wondering one question. My one question about it was not the fact that it's hotblonde@gmail, but how did she get your email address?
I worked this all out.
Really?
Yeah, this is what you do when
you
you're
were
old.
hotblonde@gmail for the longest
I
time.
was,
These
but
are the
then
guys,
I
that's the
put a
guys
little
in prison
dark
were telling
back
me.
in it. Yeah, I washed that blonde right out of my hair.
Oh, God.
Why
Are
don't
we
you
silly or what?
Yeah, why don't you take the first one?
This one comes to us from Drew C. of Grosse Pointe Shores, who
Okay.
watches Cars in Context on Comcast Cable Channel 915 in HD.
Drew, you're watching us in high definition, man.
I apologize. Dear Cars in Context, I need your opinion on this one. Wouldn't you agree that an Obama bumper sticker on a Prius is redundant?
Drew, send a picture in.
Yes, I would.
Drew, did you send a picture in of? Are you serious? That's
Yes.
okay, folks. Listen, let me weigh in on this one, Drew. That's pretty funny. I'll take funny viewer mail.
Oh, heck yes.
I'll take it, Drew.
But you can't be funnier than us.
No, that's right, Drew. You know, stereotypes happen for a reason. You know, people think, oh, you're stereotyping people. You know what? It's probably true. You've probably seen more Obama Biden stickers on a Prius than I don't know. They just go hand
You
in
don't
hand.
see them on F-150s, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty funny, Drew. Thanks for sending that one in. But I have one too.
Okay.
Okay, this one comes to us from Ashley M. of St. Clair Shores. And she watches Cars in Context on 18TU verse 99.
Just like me.
Yeah, okay. Ashley says, Dear John, I hate when she gives us Dear John letters.
You know, you get a lot of them.
I sure do on this show. Can either of you, okay, well, that's to talk about you now. Can either of you explain exactly what is so good or fun about driving? When are you going to realize it'll soon be an outdated way to get around? Ashley,
I'm sorry, Ashley, are you able to teleport yourself from one place to another? Really? Really? Quite honestly?
Ashley,
honestly?
Ashley, are you saying you hate driving? You know, here's my
You're just not doing it right.
Ashley,
You know, we should.
are you on I-94 going downtown to work at Quicken Loans or something, and you're just, the traffic's bad in the morning? Don't let that get you down, Ashley. It's not about that, Chris.
You know, and just before I went to work for Lotus, they had a car. It was the second generation of the Lotus Elan, the front drive version. And what they did, they called it the 90% car, because it was the car that 90% of the people could drive 90% of the time at 90% of its capability. It was a riot, absolute riot. That's the kind of stuff you need. Take a track day.
Yeah.
You'll find out what fun it is.
That is great advice.
Get the living
Get a
weed scared
track
out of
day.
you.
Go to, in fact, Gingerman in August, the Mustang Club of America has track days. You go out to Gingerman in Grand Haven, pay your $300, go out there and drive a car in anger and really feel the machine. It's really great. But you
There's
know what?
nothing quite like it.
Great. If you have a question you'd like to have on the air and give us some mail, Clor, carsandcontext.com. Chris, we're out of time. We had so much fun today.
Yes,
Fly back,
absolutely.
we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
And we want you to come back to do it again sometime with us. But you know what? Before you do, remember that knowledge is power. I'm your host, John Clor, and thanks for watching.